Good morning, everybody. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. Yeah, as Kurt said, thank you very much for coming. When we came up with this idea, we really didn't envision it being quite as successful as it's become. And our goal is for everybody to walk out of here with some new connections, some new ideas, some new thoughts and approaches. And for us as well to learn a lot. We had our customer advisory council yesterday, and it's amazing. We've done 5, 6, 7 of those, and every single time we do them, I walk away with a couple of insights that are really just very, very helpful. So thank you everybody for coming, and hopefully this is the first of many, many more foreign material forums to come. So with that, if I asked everybody in the room, and I'm not, because I hate when people do these quizzes, how many of you have a microbiological chemical allergen testing program? All the hands would go up, right? If I asked the same question around a structured foreign material contamination preventative and response, it would probably get a little bit more complicated, right? You have methods, systems, root cause analysis, et cetera, but in terms of a structured, proactive approach, at least in our experience, that seems to be less common. And today's talk, and a lot of what we'll talk about today, is related to that, is getting out in front of the problem before it happens. Foreign material contamination, number 3 source of recalls in the US, but we don't treat it the same way, as I said. We build systems, we audit, we validate, when we look at pathogens or allergens, but foreign material is treated, as I said earlier, in a different fashion. So in 2025, 94 recalls, and 30, we're already up to, in 26, we're already up to 30. The industry is very good at reacting, very good at containment, sorting, root cause analysis, corrective actions, but reaction is not prevention. We're very good at cleanup. And frankly, a lot of the folks in this room here and people not in this room spend a lot of money with us. And it's not cheap. And we know that. And it might be counterintuitive to you for you to see us up here thinking, how do we help you prevent using us? But I constantly hear the same thing at every customer advisory council. It will be said every time. Guys, we love you, but geez, I really wish I didn't have to use you, right? So we realize that, and we realize that you're getting better. So as we think of our company and preventing, we've got to change. We've got to get better. We've got to get on the front end of this, or 5, 10 years down the road, as you get better inline systems, better procedures, there's new technologies, we'll become irrelevant, right? So, we do have a self-interest in this, of course, but by helping you, we believe in the long run it will help us, and it's a good virtuous cycle. We need to rethink system design. We need to move upstream. We'll talk a lot today about supplier monitoring. We'll talk a lot today about validation of existing systems. And the question is, what if we proactively and continuously looked at mitigating the risks? So it didn't end up with the call to Paula and saying, hey, we've got 600 pallets on hold, and when can we slot them in? Instead, maybe it's something like, we've got 40 pallets on hold, and we caught it early, and can you guys check this out so before you have a major event and frankly a very expensive bill. Today, as I said, it's time to go on offense. It's time to think differently, and we're going to work with you guys, and we've assembled a lot of folks here today to talk about how we do it. So currently, what are we good at? There's an incident, we contain it, we re-inspect it, we release it. Works like a charm, right? In the future, what if you were verifying suppliers as they came on board, or intermittently inspecting them to make sure that you're not introducing contaminants into your production? What if you're monitoring your production to make sure that the X-ray machines, the metal detectors, the magnets, the sieves, all the things that you've got in place are working? You're validating it, and you're becoming more proactive. And that's what we're looking to aim, to get to in a future state. But a lot of us are stuck in the rework loop. We're right there in the reinspection part. It's our business. We're trying to get out of it. Using the same systems with the same people to inspect the same processes and expect different results is not, doesn't work. So intervention is typically too late. Think of, and this is one of the insights yesterday that one of our customers brought up. That was, they said, oh, we send you a bunch of product and then you turn it around in 2 days. You don't realize all of the things that are happening inside our company while we wait to hear back from you. And I had thought about that. I was like, yeah, I hadn't realized that. Do we need to start remanufacturing it? Are we going to dispose of it? Who do we need to notify? What kind of loss is it? Does it have to go up to corporate or not? Like all these things, and I guess naively we sit here and think, oh, we're re-inspecting it, we're doing a good job, and we're returning it, and not thinking about you as our customers and all the different challenges you've got. Just reacting and intervening during a production is not going to cut it. So, kind of getting to the point here, suppliers, and we'll talk about two things. One is proactively managing the suppliers, and then after an incident, making the change, having the resolve and the will to make the change so that things don't keep happening the way that they've been happening. We came up with 3 ideas that we wanted to share. Big ideas, maybe not to some of the folks in the room. Maybe to us, they're huge ideas. But we'll just 3 ideas that we have, okay? And our goal is, maybe one of these sticks, or maybe there's a new idea that you come up with that you can implement and you're back in your business on Monday, or as you talk to your peers over the next few weeks and months. So first idea, advance your supplier monitoring program. It amazes me when I talk to our customers how dynamic and intricate the production process is. When you're making something, you've got the logistics aspects of it. You've got the suppliers, the ingredients, the vendors, the packaging, the line setup, the safety, the it's amazing. And as somebody who doesn't come from the food industry, I've only been in this 4 or 5 years, I'm constantly flabbergasted to look at go to Interpacker and just realize how complicated your businesses are. And they're only becoming more complicated, and they extend well beyond the plant, right? They're the logistics department, your packagers, the forklift drivers who are breaking pallets. There was a conversation yesterday about what kind of pallets to use, and it's just amazing to me how complicated this is and how it all relates to food safety. So on the next slide here, we're just trying to say, this is like about as simple as we could present. But you've got your various suppliers, you're producing a product, you're packaging it, you're co-packing it, you're transporting it. And this complexity, especially in today's world, is only getting more complex or larger. Talk to some of our customers, and you've got supplies coming from foreign entities or foreign lands that come in through ports. That's a whole other element of complexity. Or you're producing something that's going, overseas. We inspect product for customers who ship to Japan, which is a whole level. If you don't do it, oh my gosh, it's like you can feel really good when you eat food in Japan. That's all I'm going to say. So when we talk about supplier monitoring, and Kurt's going to hit on this later. We all know the statement Reagan said, trust but verify. You have some great suppliers. We have some great suppliers in our business. But you can get too comfortable, and sometimes they can get too comfortable. Somebody brought up yesterday, looking at things like you've got a product that's becoming successful. You rely on a supplier who produced a certain amount of product for you. Then all of a sudden your product takes off and you're 5Xing it, you're 10Xing it. Maybe they're not capable of producing that volume. They're not going to say no, right? Can you give me 10 times the the product? Yes, of course. But are they really capable of doing that? So trusting is great. We do business with those we trust and like. That's an old adage as well. But it's important to verify. And a lot of the incidents that we deal with, we talk to our customers, and when you kind of get underneath it, it's a lot of like, wow, we've never had a problem with this supplier before. It seems to be one of two. It's like, we've had a million problems with the supplier, and but we have to use them, or I'm really surprised. Like this supplier's been great for us. Again, building a system where you can verify what's coming into your plants and your facilities, we think is an important thing, and we'll talk later about ways in which you can do it. Second, and I talked about this, or I mentioned this earlier, making big changes when something happens. Conversation yesterday we were having around, why hasn't the government agencies taken a more prescriptive approach to foreign material contamination? And somebody said, and it's true, it's like, well, there hasn't been an event where enough people got really hurt that it moved the needle for the government to prescribe. And that's true. Unfortunately, we can all think of all the incidents of the microbiological contaminations that have occurred that have spurred a lot of changes, even recently. Waiting for something really, really bad to happen is not obviously a good strategy, but the next time something happens and really reflecting on it and saying, what do we need to change here so that this doesn't happen again? Because it's easy to get forgiveness, right, to a certain level, but at some point when the same mistakes keep happening again and again, you kind of ask the questions like, well, what are we doing differently here? Why do we have the same problem over and over again? So making these big changes is important. This is a basic idea, and why make these changes? Obviously, when you look at your cost from a raw material all the way to a packaged, finished, and shipped product, you're adding value, you're adding cost, the whole process, right? And the sooner you can intercept that problem, the less money it's going to cost you, right? And the more opportunity you have to fix it before it gets downstream. So looking at your processes and figuring out where are my monitoring points and what are my opportunities to change things when things go wrong, and setting up systems to monitor that in real time is an important way to do this. Insurance companies get this inherently, right? Health insurance companies a lot of times pay for your gym membership or pay for your regular checkups. Or why do the insurance companies say, hey, we'll give you a device on your app to track it? Because they're trying to prevent the problem before it happens. And of course, costs go down, right? No, they don't. They never go down. So that's a bad example. But they get it. This is the world they live in, and they've figured out, how do I intercept the problem before it happens? And we need to start thinking that way as well. And there's people in this room who are really good partners who can help you do that. So third idea, validation of your existing programs. This is kind of similar to the last one. Do I have a systemic foreign material prevention, reaction, and remediation plan? Is it documented? Is it well known? Do all the pieces hang together? And does it work, right? All this stuff is great. You can monitor loads, suppliers, all that stuff. But if it's not working, then obviously you need to make changes. So continually looking at your systems, looking at your processes, making the changes, adapting on the fly is an important idea. Looking at line additions, when you're switching out equipment changes, when you're introducing new products, you're starting up a new facility. I'll be honest, that's when we see a lot of stuff, because I like to ask the question, oh, there's a project for company ABC. What are we looking at? Oh, they opened a new facility. It's always, they extended a line, they bought some new equipment. Those are events. So looking at things like that, when those things happen or when you're doing those things, are good times to validate your existing program. Looking at third parties, objectivity matters. There's a reason why for all of our companies, big or small, when you close your books, there's an audit, right? And it's a third party independent audit that occurs every year, and they're so much fun. We all enjoy them. The audit report, I love it. They're there for a reason. It's to get that objective insight and say, okay, yes, as we've worked with different companies across many different industries, what you're doing makes sense. So working with third parties, not just FlexXray, but lots of different companies. I'm sure there's response, recall response companies, lots of folks out there, some of which are in the room today. We can play a role, and we want to play a role to help you. One thing I say, one size doesn't fit all. You'll see some of our partners up here today. Technology is changing super fast. I mentioned it earlier in terms of our own business. Soft plastic detection, microwave, photon counting. We're seeing stuff in terms of who would I be if I didn't talk about AI, right? AI, ML, the data that is being pulled and put into models. Brian Green will come up here from Grayscale and talk about their business. They're a great partner of ours, and it's incredible what these models are doing and making connections and analyzing data in ways that 6 months ago we would have never even dreamed possible. Kind of wrap it up here. Consider looking at your suppliers, monitoring your systems, validating your processes. Today you'll see a lot of folks. You'll meet a lot of folks. There's some OEMs here, some service providers. Share some practices. Talk to the third parties I mentioned before. Talk to your colleagues. We're not here to sell. We're here to learn. We want to present as much information as we can. And I'll wrap it up by saying, hopefully you'll come out of here with some different ideas. So with that, Kurt, turn it over to you, and thank you very much.